We're going to start in 1970 as a truck driver. Short distances, you can use paper logs, which on a GPS it'll take me a day, but legally it'll take me about 3 to 4 days. With paper logs, what is it with these foreigners screwing their own people, especially business owners? And it's very prevalent in the trucking industry. I've been noticing these past couple months that a lot of these companies are starting to shut down and they're not paying their drivers. They're not letting them know, and they're leaving them stranded without getting home. Recently, I read an article probably 3 months ago. I tried looking for it, but it got deleted. I don't know why. Probably all the censorship and stuff like that. But the article was in regards to a business owner, Hispanic, hired an illegal, who was probably Hispanic as well, I think Mexican, and he was exploiting him by giving him very low pay, also threatening him to call ISIS on him if he didn't stay on the road for what the owner wanted, not the driver. The driver wanted to go home, and the owner just threatened him with taking him back to Mexico, I guess, deportation. So it is totally wrong. It's wrong that people abuse people like that and take advantage of people. But leading on to that, where a truck driver ended up in an accident in Randolph, New Hampshire, sadly killing 7 motorcyclists during that crash. With this case still active, they are going after, and they did go after, the business owner because he was making false statements after so many years, and he was caught falsifying logs, which is no bueno. That is really bad. So for my new viewers out there, if you don't know what ELD logs are, here's a quick little history before we get more deeper into what's going on here. So we're going to start in 1970 as a truck driver. Many of them did use paper logs because computers wasn't a thing at that time, but you had a lot of your outlaw drivers out there using them and manipulating the times on those logs. Many of them would have 3 logs, one for the carrier, one for the DOT, and one for their personal. And if they got pulled over, they better not have given the wrong one. I got 3 paper logs right here. DOT can go fuck themselves. Shit. So sometimes I wish we lived back in those times with paper logs, because the current load that I'm doing right now as I'm making this video from Tucson, Arizona, going all the way to Chicago, Illinois, it's saying on a GPS it'll take me a day, but legally it'll take me about 3 to 4 days. With paper logs, I could probably get there in a day, and a little bit of motivation, especially back in the 70s. Ooh, boy, man. The first ELD was used in the mid-1980s. While the concept was solid, the equipment wasn't reliable. The lack of wireless technology made the devices struggle to transfer data from the truck to the company terminal. As technology got better after 25 years, the FMCSA tried tightening the regulations on hours of service for truck drivers. Reason for this push was due to the truck drivers being pressured by supervisors to drive over the hours or logging hours incorrectly. The only way to stop this was to regulate a mandate on ELD use. On December 18, 2017, all trucking companies would have to comply with ELD logging. This meant that paper logs will no longer be allowed. Now, I know if a truck is older than 2000, then they do allow them to use paper logs, but that's pretty much fading away as time goes on. Now, let's look at a recent news video with CBS Boston.
For 11 days of testimony, the man charged in a deadly motorcycle crash in New Hampshire has been found not guilty on all charges. Volodymyr Zhukovsky was accused of crashing head-on into a motorcycle club in 2019, killing 7 people. The jury found him not guilty of manslaughter, negligent homicide, or reckless conduct.
Like, I honestly try my best to keep an eye on those bikers, because some of them, they will speed,
was drunk and had been swerving back and forth before the crash. Defense attorneys claim the lead motorcycle rider lost control and then collided with the truck.
And of course, the jury reached their verdict. I don't know why they keep saying it's a truck driver. They're not really truck drivers, but... So yeah, at least you guys have an idea on what's going on with that situation during 2019, leading on to what's happening to the co-founder of the trunking company right now, Damien. 39 years old of West Spring pleads guilty Tuesday in the U.S. District Court for District of Massachusetts to 3 counts of making false statements to federal investigators. He is scheduled to be sentenced in November and faces up to 15 years in prison and $30,000 fine. 15 years! He can probably have it dropped down a little bit with a good lawyer, but that's a long time, man. Just for falsifying logs and lying. But yeah, it just shows you it is not right. It's not worth it. Especially if you're a business owner or even a truck driver making the decision. If you're being forced to push a load even though your clock doesn't allow it, and that owner of the business or dispatch is telling you to do something with your logs that you're not supposed to. Now, ELDs, it's so hard. I don't know how. Well, they're hotshot drivers, so I know they have to use ELD logs just like every other carrier out there, like the big semi trucks. But I did see a loophole where if you are only hotshotting short distances, you can use paper logs, which that's wild. I just saw that recently. I was looked into it because I was just like, how is that possible? And that's probably what they did. They probably had paper logs and they manipulated it. And that's why there's ELDs today, because it prevents that from happening. But yeah, so sadly, the other individual, now 28 years old. I am just turned 30. It sucks for this guy. He's the one that killed the 7 motorcyclists, and he is facing count of negligent homicide, 7 counts of manslaughter, and 1 count of reckless conduct in the collision in Royal, New Hampshire. Now that is no good. That sucks. He's done. He's gonna go to jail for he pretty much screwed up his whole life. That's just sad. And apparently, apparently he was intoxicated, maybe, but I don't know. It could be fatigue, because man, fatigue can really get you. It's gotten me. Sometimes I would have to. It rarely happens, but if I'm working nights, driving nights, especially, and the next day, I get so tired and just all over the place, especially with the time changes going from east to west coast. Sometimes I'll get like really fatigued, and it'll get to you. Like, you'll start nodding off, and like when I start nodding off, I will stop and I'll do like a two hour split and just take a good nap for like 2 or 3 hours, and it definitely makes a big difference. Just a pro tip there. But yeah, it's just sad what's going on here. It really is. But yeah, just to keep you updated on what is going on out there. So if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Also, I would love to hear if you had any situations where you got forced to drive a load with no hours of service left, because I've heard older truckers talk about it, working for companies where they were forced to take loads or to manipulate their logs, which these are older truckers, and a lot of them had paper logs back then. So yeah, just leave a comment below. Love to hear from you, and please subscribe and like my video. Other than that, be safe out there, guys. See ya. Bye.